Hello, everyone, and happy March. On the 1st of March, there's going to be a beautiful six-pointed star, a Merkaba configuration. And it was really interesting for me that I usually create my videos first in Hungarian. And for that, I take a look at the Hungarian version, of course, for Budapest. But what was fascinating this time that I forgot to change the time. So I relocated the chart for London. But I forgot to change the time. And of course, London is an hour ahead of us. Actually, after us, sorry, we are an hour ahead of us. And I almost found the exact same, actually almost even tighter Merkaba. So let's take a look and let's see what it means. First of all visible planets are taking part in this. I did put it 5 minutes later because in this case, the angles are creating a better pattern for us. So the Budapest chart was for 12:10 p.m. and this is for 12:15 p.m. London. And as you can see, the Saturn, Sun, Mercury is still very, very tight. And actually it is now separate. Mercury is of course separating, and and Saturn is kind of giving us a backbone, giving us some sort of support, both for the Sun and for Mercury. But because at the moment Mercury is twice as fast as usual, it will be separating quite early. And as you can see, the North Node Chiron conjunction is still very tight. This is an oxymoron in many, many ways, because the North Node in Aries teaches us for 1.5 years, actually, teaches us how to fight for what is you, what is ours, what we need to do, what we need to represent. It teaches us how to act upon our own will. But Chiron is also in Aries, and actually it is going to be there for 12 full years, so quite for a long time. This is where Chiron spends the most years, and it indicates that our karmic wounds are very much linked to wars and aggression and atrocities and pain and blood and all kinds of stuff that we are relating to Aries and its ruler Mars. And the conjunction shows us that, yes, it's going to be painful. Yes, we are going to suffer, but we need to still learn to fight. No matter what, no matter how big wounds we are going to occur, no matter how we are going to suffer, we need to learn to fight. And this is something we have forgotten in recent decades, really. And the Liliths are very, very prominent in this chart. The asteroid Lilith is still traveling together with Pulse Athena, two bright and very unique feminine archetypes. Pulse Athena is the wise girl, the wisdom goddess, and Lilith, asteroid Lilith, is it represents the revolt against injustice. The dark moon Lilith, which is the acceptance of the curse, is on Uranus. If you want change, yes, you will step on the foot of many powers that be. And yes, if you want true change and you don't want us to be pushed into complete poverty and objection and famine, that's what they are planning us. They call it food insecurity. What kind of bloody food insecurity do you mean, dear powers that be? That we are going to eat each other because you are simply destroying the farmers? Because that's what's happening in Europe, and that's what's happening all across the board, really. And that is why you see so many revolts and so many demonstrations that are done with tractors, because these are big, powerful engines. And the other thing is that you should always remember that farmers are linked to the soil. So they are the true green dealers, so to speak. Those who are advocates of the new Green Deal and all kinds of leftist propaganda, they are idiots. They're crazy people. They don't know shit about the soil and nature. They just want us to suffer. They just want us to be pushed into idiotic things and utilize. I mean, it's really ridiculous. But if you want change, you simply need to accept that, yes, you are going to be cancelled and you're going to be labeled this and that. immediately you're going to be a racist and a homophobic person and all kinds of ist, and don't bother yourself. There's nothing they can do. To me, it is really funny how all leftist propaganda and ideology is always somehow against nature. And don't forget that I lived half my life in a communist regime in Hungary. So I know how it works and I know what they did. I know how unnatural things they try to push on us. Idiots wanted to change the flow of rivers, okay? They wanted to grow oranges here in Hungary and all kinds of other crazy ideas. Of course, they never worked and nature laughed at these things. But what you see under the label green at the moment is communist propaganda and communistic ideas, how to change mankind. It won't happen, of course. On the IC, we have the Lilith, Black Moon Lilith conjunction. So this is the third installment of the Lilith myths. When Lilith has knowledge and she is also courageous and knows what she wants and is willing to act upon it. And Juno at the moment is not very prominent because it is retrograde. So actually the first lady and pacts and covenants are kind of not working too well, because you need to look inward first. You need to find answers inside yourself. Those are the retrograde planets. So those are the highlights, and let's take a look at the Merkaba itself. Here it is. And as you can see, it's a 6.8 star. It really, what happens is you have a water Grand Trine and an earth Grand Trine, and they are put into each other, and they are framed by sextiles. So there are 6 sextiles all around. This is a very powerful and very rare configuration. It usually occurs when the MC ascendant angles are creating a mystic rectangle, and then you have an opposition. And this is what kind of happens. But what is beautiful now is that all the visible planets are involved in this Merkaba. So this is a really decisive moment for us. I did put in the degrees for you to see that there are actually 2 planets that are kind of out of one side of the orb. If you allow this around 13 degrees, then 16 degrees for the moon and 17 degrees for Venus are completely out of orb, because any configuration has the orb within 2 degrees. But the moon has a very special effect in this case, simply because I'm trying to explain this to you. When you see that there is let's say there is a football match and you want to see what is happening. If you are playing, you won't see the big picture. But if you are outside the court and you are looking at the whole, at the two teams that are trying to make scores, then you will see the big picture. And this is exactly what happens when either of the luminaries are kind of not really within, although for the luminaries, I allowed a 2.5 degree, even 3 degree if it's applying. In this case, the moon is not applying, it's separating. It's already at 16 degrees and something, almost almost at 7 degrees, actually, 17 degrees. So it's way out of orb. It's almost 4 degrees out of orb. But it does have this illuminating impact. So it is actually illuminating the whole Merkaba. And the points that are there is, of course, the ascendant descendant in the London chart, the midheaven and IC. And the 2 strong ladies are actually adding to the picture. And the missing portion here in Scorpio is it's brilliant, because we have Zulong here, which is a TNO, actually is an ETNO. And in Chinese mythology, it is a water snake or water serpent, and it's the one who is fighting with Gong Gong. And actually, Zulong is also linked to the cataclysm. So this is a very decisive moment in history for humans, because yes, we are at the brink of the Third World War, and the Third World War will be fought by nuclear weapons. And if they fight with nuclear weapons, then the whole Earth will be destroyed. Yeah, I know that some rich men are building bunkers, underground bunkers. Really, this is what we want. Do we want to live again under this? I mean, in under this. I mean, subterranean places. We did this after the Valley Cataclysm when Atlantis got destroyed. Is this really? Are we going to repeat it? This is ridiculous. And Saturn is on the other side of the orb, only 10 degrees. So it's slightly there, of course, but again, separating. But again, the Sun and Mercury are bringing them into the picture. So that's it. And as you can see, the travels, I put here for you the daily travels, and the Sun and the Moon are perfectly average. 1 degree and 12 degree and 12 and a quarter of the degree are perfectly average. Mercury, however, is twice as fast as usual. Venus is also average completely, and Mars is again a fast Mars because it is Mars daily travel is around half a degree, a little bit less than half a degree, and so 46 minutes of an arc, almost 46 and a half, is a fast Mars. So we have a couple of fast celestial objects, and so is Jupiter and Saturn, kind of. It's a little bit faster than average. So you can then see how this Merkaba is moving. And again, what is actually creating the Merkaba itself is the ascendant descendant, and that is only there for about half an hour, I would say, if you take the orb either way. Here are the transcendental celestial objects, and on the ascendant, we have Sphinx, the secret. On the descendant, we have Astella and also Nunki. I didn't put the Nunki, but I'm going to show you where Nunki and Astella are in a minute. And those are stars in the celestial archer in Sagittarius. On the sun, and it's interesting because here you have the sun is exactly on the midheaven. So then you have Saturn and Mercury kind of a little bit apart. And since they are a little bit more than 1 degrees from each other, different asteroids are there. On the sun, you have Eurydice and Laocoon. Eurydice is the wife of Orpheus, who is in the underworld, and he is trying to desperately get her back to take her back, and he's unable to, unfortunately. So it shows that once we are in the underworld, that's it. And Laocoon, he was the ingenious craftsman who created the horse for the Greeks, and in which they then they destroyed Troja. So the Trojan War was reversed by this. But of course, then Laocoon is being killed by a water serpent because Neptune, of course, Poseidon destroyed him. So it's yeah, you can win by utilizing some sort of unusual methods, but beware that you yourself could be also destroyed. On the moon, you have Narcissus, learn to love yourself. On Mercury, you have Guinevere, so the wife archetype. She was King Arthur's wife. On Venus, we have Anahita, Putia, and Sualosin. Sualosin is Alpha Dolphin, and it is one of the healing birds for Atlantean karma. And Anahita is the creator goddess, and Putia is the clairvoyant. That's what on Venus. And Venus, of course, symbolizes not just well-being, but also harmony and also money. And on Mars, you have ambrosia, the food of the gods still. It was there a couple of days ago still. On Jupiter, you have also still Albion. This is a TNO, and it represents an Adam Cadman figure in William Blake's mythology, and Albion is cutting himself into 4 equal pieces to create these 4 aspects of mankind. So it's a creation energy. Yes, it is creation through dissection, but this is a voluntary bisection, whereas in Sedna is being dissected by her own father. So it's a very different thing. This is kind of like when the cell is multiplying itself to create something new. And on Saturn, you have Requiem. As you can see, Saturn is now only at 10 degrees, but Requiem is still there. So the grief is in the picture. And since it is so close to the midheaven, yes, we are at a decisive moment as mankind, and yes, we could be destroyed. So that's something, a warning sign. As I said, the Sphinx secret is on the ascendant, and on descendant you have Nunki and Asella, both of them, and on itself, midheaven itself, you have Titania and Ahernar as well. And I didn't put it there up there, but it's there. And on Juno, Black Moon Lilith, sorry about that. Okay. So this triple conjunction, you have Aphidas, who is a rapist, Orcus, who is the Etruscan god of the underworld, who is punisher of broken oaths and keeper of hidden treasures, and Mizar, which is Zeta, Ursa Major, which we are going to take a look. So this gives the occasion to show you Eridanus, the celestial river, which is one of the largest, actually it is the largest constellations. Look at Orion. Here's Orion. It's large enough. If you look at it now, after the sunset, you need to wait another 2 hours before it actually is up there. And it's really huge. And think about Eridanus, which kind of the celestial river, which is starting off, this program, planetary program, didn't have the other stars, but it starts somewhere off here, actually here. It's very close to the celestial equator, which represents divine balance, and it crosses over the southern celestial globe, and it gets its finest moment when it reaches the brightest star, Ahernar, at the very end. And it represents the hero's quest, that I'm willing to leave my equilibrium, I'm willing to leave my balance in order to learn, in order to evolve, in order to have experiences. And I have all kinds of curves in the process, but finally I am rewarded with the most beautiful shining energy at the very, very end of my quest. So that's Ahernar. The hero's quest is ending there in shining, beautiful space. And here is the Sagittarius. And as you can see, here is Asella, which is the navel of the celestial archer. And Nunki is the place where you actually shoot the arrow, and you actually balance the arrow before it is being shot. So it is a balancing bird, which we badly need. Okay, and then here's Mizar. And if you take a look at this drawing, you will see that Alcor is a tiny little speck there, and Mizar is brighter and bigger. So it's a double star, and this is very hard to see by the naked eye, but actually if you have good eyesight and you watch the sky from a point where it's really dark enough, you might actually be able to see that this is a double star. And according to Hungarian lore, we call this Göncöl chariot. Chariot, of course, this is the divine chariot. And according to our myth, Göncöl was a taltos, kind of like a shaman, but much more than that. This is a unique Hungarian version of the shamans. And Göncöl broke the pole of his chariot, and he couldn't find anyone who would repair it. So finally he got very, very angry and pushed the chariot up in the sky, and he is still going up and down the celestial pole, trying to find someone who will repair his own pole. And if you take this portion of the chariot and measure 7 times the same distance, you will find the North Celestial Pole star, Polaris. So that's what it represents. It represents a broken world. A whole constellation of the chariot, the northern chariot, whole with some major, is linked to learning, learn how we learn, what we learn from the past, and it is ridiculous to me how most of the countries who have a large population, immigrant population, simply stopped teaching history. Of course, these are nations who were had huge colonies in Africa and India and anywhere in the world, and they are afraid to teach the true history because they don't want to enable people to think what they should think about that. So what happens is there's no history. Our children are no longer learning from the past, and we are making the same mistake. So this Merkaba is teaching us today on the 1st of March, and in this way, because it's the starting of a month, hopefully this will hold for the whole month. And the message is this: learn to keep a divine balance, learn to not make the same mistakes, learn from your old mistakes, learn from history, and try to be strong and fight for yourself, even if it is going to be painful. Happy March. Thank you for listening, and try to be happy, really. Thank you.